It's such an honor to be here with you all. And actually, I'm enjoying that this is the second day because I already talked with some of you, and we have this more relaxed space, I can say. It is a great honor to share with you all what I can call the second stage of my career as a researcher. Because the first stage, I can say I was working hard on international human rights law, just specifically that field. You already know how I started here in Germany, that shocking, amazing experience that I had at the same time. And now I'm mixing, as all you know, international law with economics and sustainable development. There are areas that I'm in the process to get to know better. So it is interesting, we're in this hall where Albert Einstein and Max Planck were giving speeches, and they were sharing theories that shape our life nowadays. So it's a great honor to be here and sharing this part of knowledge that I hope can contribute to your research too. And I think before going to the facts and all the discoveries that I've been doing with these areas, I would love to share with you how I started with this, I can say, curiosity about questioning the systemic reality we have. And basically that happened when I was living in India. I was there. I was invited to be part of the annual meetings that the Dalai Lama does at his monastery with scientists, specifically quantum physicists, neuroscientists, and people of you, most of you, I can say. And we were having discussions about spirituality and science, specifically quantum physics. So it's very interesting that I am here now at this hall where quantum physics started. I can say it's incredible. And so in those discussions in India, I was also there because I had a personal spiritual journey. I wanted to become a nun, a Buddhist nun. And my dream at that point was I want to leave all this law stuff. I just want to be at the Himalayas in my cave. I just want to meditate and live there is what I want to do of my life. And guess what? So basically the Dalai Lama told me, no, this is not for you. This is not for you. You need to go back to the West. And his words were the world needs urgent help. And it is not coming through Buddhism. It is coming through science. So I remember that when I received those words, I was shocked, and I started to cry, because for me it was clear. You need to go back. You need to continue with your work. And now I can understand much better what happened. And it's because of that experience that I had the opportunity to see or meet the Queen of Bhutan and people from Bhutan. And thanks to them, I knew something called the gross national happiness. And I was, what is this? That's quite interesting. So I learned that they were trying to challenge our current economy, but I didn't get it at that point clearly. But I could read that they were trying to give access to social, economic, and environmental rights in a very unique way. Because they are Buddhist, of course, they have their own way of organized these kind of things. But the interesting thing for me is wow, why in the West, having those amazing treaties of human rights, the history we have, we're not having the same success as these little countries having with the GNH, the gross national happiness, where they are aware of what we call now sustainability, but the well-being beyond the materialistic happiness we have in the West. So I started like that. I came back to Mexico. I started work at the Supreme Court and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. And then at some point, I was questioning myself. What should I do with all of this? And the first stage of this research started trying to mix the GNH with our understanding of economic and social rights. But with time, that idea get matured, and I had the opportunity to come to the University of Washington, do graduate studies in sustainable development, and the epiphany happened. Something happened there when I was at the Susalo Library, and I knew that the essence of the GNH was like questioning our current economic system. That is the one responsible of the climate crisis and that disconnection we have with nature and with each other. So before going to that, I would love to show you what exactly I'm talking about with this era of Anthropocene that we call now, and why it's important to talk about the rise of economic, social, and environmental rights.
This is the story of how one species changed a planet. The latest chapter of our story begins in England 250 years ago. Fueled by coal, then oil, several brilliant inventions appeared. They ignited the Industrial Revolution, which spread like wildfire through Europe, North America, Japan, then elsewhere. The great railways, then cars and highways, connected people across the globe. Medical discoveries saved millions of lives. New artificial fertilizers meant we could feed more people. Population rose rapidly. But this was nothing compared with what was to come. The 1950s marked the beginning of the Great Acceleration. Globalization, marketing, tourism, and huge investments helped fuel enormous growth. People swarmed to cities, which became even more powerful engines of creativity. In a single lifetime, the well-being of millions has improved beyond measure. Health, wealth, security, longevity, never have so many had so much. Yet 1 billion are malnourished. In a single lifetime, we have grown into a phenomenal global force. We move more sediment and rock annually than all natural processes, such as erosion and rivers. We manage 3/4 of all land outside the ice sheets. Greenhouse gas levels this high have not been seen for over 1 million years. Temperatures are increasing. We have made a hole in the ozone layer. We are losing biodiversity. Many of the world's deltas are sinking due to damming, mining, and other causes. Sea level is rising. Ocean acidification is a real threat. We are altering Earth's natural cycles. We have entered the Anthropocene, a new geological epoch dominated by humanity. This relentless pressure on our planet risks unprecedented destabilization. But our creativity, energy, and industry offer hope. We have shaped our past. We are shaping our present. We can shape our future. You and I are part of this story. We are the first generation to realize this new responsibility. As the population grows to 9 billion, we must find a safe operating space for humanity, for the sake of future generations. Welcome to the Anthropocene.
So, this is the reality we are now, is clear. And definitely having a symposium talking about these problems talked about a shift in our global awareness. Definitely is more important than ever. And I can say that thanks to the pandemic, we had like a shocking moment where we started to question the system we live in. So I'm actually happy that Max Planck decided to talk about this, because definitely we started to feel that something is off. And what I can read of this is like there is a problem, like something is not working, and it is clear that for me that the problem is related with a violent economic system that implies like a super profit-driven economy with short-term vision, where we are not taking into account what we can do for future generations. It's a system just like focused in production and consumerism. And this is not a something that we had in all our history. It's actually recent. And also, the heart of this system is about material development. Just that. Doesn't matter what is our understanding of well-being? What is you know, the thing that I learned in India with the GNH is like we have a complete different perspective of what is happiness there and what is happiness here. And for me, it was clear that happiness for us is this understanding of material stuff, status, and everything is measured like scientifically. Our economies are measured just with the gross domestic product. And of course, this is having consequence in our environment, in the connections we have as humans. And interestingly, like the World Health Organization, right before the pandemic, they published a like report saying that potentially 2020 will be the year where we'll be having more depression than ever in the world. And look at what happened, the pandemic and stuff. So that report was actually went further. So it is a reality that this system is changing, shaping our lives, and in not a very good way. So this is a huge problem, the executive way to see this problem. And I can say that this is not an accident. This is product of very like new system, like 50, 40 years ago when we decided, and actually with a very like, we call these like neoliberal policies, using that word in a very like, it's kind of offensive to use it, but well, it's the way we are like using it now. But this is not an accident. This is product of political decision making of corporations that are in connection with our governments. And when I say that we have minimal state, that's the heart of this vision of economy. That's a huge piece, especially like when we work with human rights. Because the essence of human rights is having the state, like, especially the state, like taking care of the dignity of everyone, right? What happened specifically with political economy is like, just because certain corporations, just because certain deals that happened 50 years ago, they decided that those will not be touched by any law, meaning having totally freedom in there. And now the result is like all the destruction and disconnection that we have. So the result of this as a human rights professional for me was clear. It's like, especially when I saw the GNH, it's like, definitely we are talking about of social rights, economic, environmental rights that we call. And it is important to do a difference. I'm aware that not everyone is a lawyer in here, because we were talking about this like yesterday. We did a very superficial distinction of political and civil rights and social rights in the 60s because of the war in that moment, the Cold War in that moment. So it was a very political thing, different political visions. And we put the social rights behind. We needed just the first like set of rights that were actually more like aligned with the system we wanted at that time. So basically, the situation is giving us a reading of human rights, and specifically those, for me, was clear. And when I was in that process, doing my research, I found a quite interesting gap in knowledge. And that one is that, imagine, like I have around 10 years working in human rights, and I never heard like lawyers doing a strategic litigation challenging the core of the economy system. And then I started to find economists talking and almost screaming, saying, world, we need to change our economic system. We need to change urgently this economic system. But that was the economist. And then I started to see, oh my gosh, so I need to, where are the legal scholars? And I started to do my research, and I was like, okay, we have a mild research about it, especially here in Europe, but it is not enough. And when I found that, it's like, oh, wow, what is going on? And I found like Professor Kennedy from Harvard. He's like the head of the critical legal studies. And he started to say, like, it's incredible that lawyers don't talk about political economy. There is like a myth about like this separation of law and economy, like having those like totally separated and different. And for me, it was great to find this guy from Harvard and saying, yes, my intuition is going in the right direction. And then I started to find that how the United Nations actually, they started to have meetings since 2011 talking about the need of changing our economic system. And you know what is so interesting? That in this process I found that the resolution of happiness, the first one you can see there, actually was product of the connections of Ban Ki-moon, and at that moment one of the ministers from Bhutan. So it was because of that personal connection that they started to talk about, and they were interested in what's going on in Bhutan. What's going on? And the UN started to do this kind of high-level meetings where they started like the discussion at that level. So for me, it was fascinating to find that the UN were interested. And recently, the UN High Commissioner, Michelle Bachelet, she was giving a speech and sharing like, we need a human rights-based economy. So for me, it was like, yes, something is going on here, and I saw it. I saw it. And a week ago, the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, he was like, he was totally, moved, saying we need an urgent reform of our financial system. So what happened here is like, I got away. This is a kind of proposal where I'm trying to find a solution where international human rights law can be part of that discussion. So for me, it was clear the gap. Just economists are aware of that, but human rights professionals are not. And the problem with this kind of economy is related with social and economic rights. And we don't have lawyers there, so what's going on? And for me, it was clear, like, what if okay, we're calling for a sustainable economy, but that it is just a political view. But where is the law in here? And for me, it was clear, like, yeah, we need to create a right. That's the idea that came out. We need to create a right, a human right of sustainable economy that could bring that discussion from international law. And it is quite interesting, like when I started with this idea, because I found that this could be an interesting way to address that separation that actually was totally superficial. Because we need lawyers, we need human rights professionals, like solving those social problems. Because actually economists used to say we have a huge lack of social justice, but we are economists. We don't know how to solve that social stuff. I give you the data, and that's why for me it was like, yes, we need to talk about this. And in my idea, I think like definitely a right to a sustainable economy could bring clarity in this discussion. We could create treaties, international treaties. Of course, we need like collaboration, global collaboration for this kind of understanding. And also, it's an interesting way to address or give power to individuals to challenge unfair like policies in courts. Because now we have something that I've been discussing with professors and colleagues is like, well, but why this proposal is different? We have the sustainable development goals. We have the traditional understanding of justiciability of economic and social rights. We have the right to a sustainable development. And recently, 2 months ago, the UN declared the right to a healthy environment. So what's the difference, right? And discussion was incredible because I could say that the difference is like the way we do justiciability of economic and social rights is very limited. So when we go to the court and say, oh, someone or a group of people is having a bad quality of health, that is one of those collective rights, and we are just there, oh, something happened, the government didn't provide this or that. But in this strategic litigation, we don't question the systemic problems, you know, because sometimes, and it is very clear, we have like tons of examples of how big corporates or large corporates lobbying in our Congress do that activity where they say, okay, we will provide this kind of medicines to certain population, but in small letters in that new law or reform, they say, yes, but the corporation has the right to put the prices. And the corporations, we have this like, yes, it sounds great, we will provide medicines to this population, but at some point, corporations rise the prices, and those medicines become impossible to get. For example, we have like different examples. This is just an example of how policies are like influenced by large corporations. So this right could question that kind of activity, could question, to give like a stronger legal basis to individuals to hold governments and business accountable. So it would be interesting. Also, like the taxes, the problem with taxes we have, we could question this kind of problem where big corporations are not, you know, they are the ones that are giving less than us as middle class people, that it is, we are the ones giving more taxes. So for example, you know, the strategic litigation that I was saying before, and also sovereign debt, the public debt. We have the example of Greece. So what is going on in this global system is like certain corporations, like part of this economy, are like giving money to the states with a very high interest. And then because they have the burden to pay that public debt, they don't have the enough resources to provide health, to provide a healthy environment, to provide education, to provide, call any social economic right that you want. So for me, I think this would be interesting. It's a concept that has huge challenges because I'm mixing international law, sustainable development principles with political economy. But I think it is worth it to explore a way to challenge or the systemic, like the root of the systemic problem we have. And I think, and it is clear for me, that the essence of the climate crisis we have and all the things that I was mentioning, it is related to our understanding of happiness, to our understanding of economy. So I think this is a way for me, and I hope we can think about it deeper with time. Thank you so much.